I was sitting in my office when the email arrived. Subject line, Re. 1247 Coastal Highway, sale pending. Dear Ms. Chen, we are representing the purchaser of the above-referenced property. Please contact us regarding commercial zoning transfer procedures. Closing scheduled for November 18th. November 18th was 6 days away. I own no property at 1247 Coastal Highway. Except I did. The beach lot my grandmother left me in 2016. The one I'd been quietly developing for 8 years. The one with commercial zoning permits worth more than my parents' house. The one my mother had apparently just sold without my knowledge. I called the law firm. This is Sarah Chen. That property isn't for sale. I'm the sole owner. Pause. Keyboard clicking. Ms. Chen, our records show Margaret Chen signed the sale contract October 24th. Margaret Chen. My mother. She doesn't own it. I do. Since 2016. Hold please. A man's voice came on. This is Richard Thompson, senior partner. Can you explain this discrepancy? My grandmother left me that lot. It's been mine for 8 years. My mother has no legal authority to sell it. Ms. Chen, your mother claimed power of attorney for the estate. Do you have proof of ownership? I have the deed, the tax records, the commercial zoning permits I've been securing for 3 years. Silence. Then, commercial zoning permits? Yes. Mixed-use development. Restaurant and retail ground floor, residential above. 5 stories. The permits alone cost me $127,000. More silence. What did your mother sell this for? I just found out 15 minutes ago. She accepted $400,000 from a developer planning a single-family home. Something cold settled in my chest. That lot with commercial zoning is worth $2.1 million minimum. Ms. Chen, I need to see your documentation. All of it. Today. I arrived at Thompson & Associates at 3 p.m. with a folder 3 inches thick. Deed. Title insurance. Tax records from 2016. Commercial zoning permits. Architectural renderings. Environmental impact study. Building permits. Richard Thompson spread the contents across his conference table. He read in silence for 20 minutes. I watched his expression shift from skepticism to concern to something that looked like anger. Finally he looked up. This is fraud. Your mother forged sale documents for property she doesn't own. She's stolen approximately $2 million from you. What happens now? We notify our client immediately. The sale cannot proceed. We'll likely notify the state bar and possibly law enforcement. His associate Jennifer spoke up. Ms. Chen, has your mother done anything like this before? I thought about 8 years of pressure. The constant questions about that beach lot. The suggestions I should let someone else handle it. The way Mom always brought it up when my sister Claire needed money. She's been pressuring me to sell for years. I never gave her access to paperwork. I don't know how she got documentation to forge this. Thompson's jaw tightened. Family members often steal documents. We'll investigate. He picked up his phone. I need to call our client. They've put down a $40,000 deposit based on fraudulent representations. Jennifer sat across from me. How's your relationship with your mother? Strained. My sister Claire is the golden child. I'm the one who left town, built a career. They call me cold. Selfish. But you've been developing this property for 8 years. Mixed-use development. Ground floor restaurant and retail facing the ocean. Residential condos above. Jobs, housing, revenue for the community. The Coastal Commission loved it. The Architectural Review Board called it exactly what the community needs. Your family doesn't know? I shook my head. I stopped sharing plans around 2019. Everything got minimized. New job? Must be nice. Property investment? Playing real estate mogul. They'd call this gentrification or greed or destroying grandma's legacy. Thompson returned, expression grim. My client is understandably upset. They've been planning this for months. They already had architects designing their dream home. Now they learn it's fraud. What do I need to do? Document everything. Every conversation about this property. Hire a lawyer immediately. This will get ugly. That night I created a spreadsheet called the Ghost Ledger. 8 years of theft. Missed life events. Anniversary dinner canceled because Claire had emergency credit card crisis. Cost equals memory with partner, never recoverable. Promotion celebration mentioned in family chat. Received 3 messages about Claire's car payment troubles instead. Cost equals joy in accomplishment replaced with guilt. Grandmother's funeral planning. I suggested her favorite flowers. Mom said, Claire picked carnations already. Cost equals final goodbye to woman who believed in me overruled. Confidence erosion. Grandmothers will reading. Mom said out loud, at least Claire will spend money on things that matter. Cost equals validation from woman who raised me tainted. Every property discussion. You don't know what you're doing forward. Stop playing developer. Cost equals self-doubt during 3-year permit process. Nearly quit twice. Coastal Commission approval celebration. Told family in group chat. Dad replied, hope you know what you're doing. Cost equals pride in 3-year achievement. Diminished in 4 words. Time theft. 6 weekends helping Claire move 4 times in 3 years. Never asked what I was working on. Cost equals 12 days of life, never acknowledged. Weekly calls from mom about Claire's problems. Credit cards, rent, car repairs. Cost equals 416 hours over 8 years as unpaid financial therapist. Emergency trip to co-sign Claire's lease because you're good with paperwork. Missed my own architect meeting. Cost equals professional credibility rescheduling fees. Emotional labor. Every family gathering explaining why I couldn't just give Claire the lot. Cost equals defending my inheritance from woman who gave it to me specifically. Years of being told I'm selfish for developing property grandma wanted me to have. Cost equals relationship with grandmother's memory, complicated by resentment. Christmas 2022, Claire announced bankruptcy. Mom looked at me, if you just helped her. Cost equals being blamed for sister's financial choices forever. I stared at the spreadsheet. 8 years of diminishment. 8 years of my work dismissed while Claire's needs consumed every conversation. And now mom had tried to steal $2 million to pay Claire's credit card debts. There's a concept in psychology called the gambler's fallacy. You keep feeding coins into a slot machine because you're convinced the jackpot is mathematically inevitable. I'd been feeding the slot machine of family for 8 years. Every cancelled plan, every minimized achievement. I kept believing eventually they'd see my worth. But slot machines don't pay out based on investment. They're designed to take. The next morning I hired Linda Morrison, a real estate fraud attorney. She read everything in 2 hours. Sarah, this is textbook fraud. Your mother forged documents to sell property worth $2.1 million for $400,000. She kept $180,000 and gave $220,000 to your sister. They've already spent most of it. How do you know? Linda showed me Claire's Instagram. November 1st, new Mercedes SUV. November 4th, Cancun here we come. November 7th, professionally renovated kitchen. Your sister's spending proceeds of a fraudulent sale. We need to move fast before the money's completely gone. Linda filed a lawsuit November 14th, 4 days before the scheduled closing. Fraud. Conversion. Unjust enrichment. We sought $2.1 million in damages plus attorney fees and court costs. We also filed an emergency restraining order preventing the sale and freezing mom and Claire's assets. The family group chat exploded at 4:47 p.m. Mom, you're suing your own mother? Claire, over a property you weren't even using? Dad, family handles things privately. Aunt Rachel, your grandmother would be ashamed. I typed one message. You sold my property without consent for $400,000 when it's worth $2.1 million. You stole $2 million from me. I'll see you in court. Then I muted the chat. Linda scheduled a preliminary hearing for November 20th. We had to prove immediate harm to justify the asset freeze. Mom showed up with David Reeves, the attorney who'd handled her fraudulent sale. He looked nervous. He should have been. Judge Martha Hendricks had sharp eyes and zero patience. Linda presented methodically. The deed proving my ownership. Tax records showing 8 years of payments. Commercial zoning permits. Architectural plans. Environmental impact study. Then the forged sale documents. The fake power of attorney. The fraudulent signatures. Judge Hendricks looked at David Reeves. Counselor, Did you perform any due diligence on this transaction? Reeves cleared his throat. Your Honor, I relied on my client's representations that she had authority. Did you verify ownership through county records? I assumed the documentation was accurate. You assumed. Judge Hendricks's voice could have frozen water. You didn't spend 90 seconds checking county records for a $2 million property? Your Honor, estate sales can be complex. This wasn't an estate sale. The property owner is alive, sitting right here, and has owned this lot for 8 years. This is fraud, Counselor. You facilitated it. He turned to Mom. Mrs. Chin, did you know you didn't have legal authority to sell this property? Silence. Answer the question, Mrs. Chin. Yes. Mom's voice was barely audible. I knew. Judge Hendricks wrote something on her notepad, each pen stroke deliberate. I'm granting the emergency restraining order. The sale is permanently blocked. Mrs. Chin, your assets are frozen pending resolution. Mr. Reeves, I'm referring this to the State Bar. You may face disciplinary proceedings for gross negligence or complicity in fraud. She looked at me. Ms. Chin, you have a clear case for damages. I encourage settlement because if this goes to trial, Mrs. Chin, you're going to lose badly. Linda touched my arm outside the courthouse. That went as well as it could have. But Sarah, this is your mother. Are you sure you want full damages? I thought about the ghost ledger. 8 years of stolen time. 8 years of accomplishments minimized while Claire's needs dominated everything. She stole $2 million from me to pay credit card debts, I said. She forged documents. She committed fraud. She knew exactly what she was doing. Linda nodded. Then we proceed. The investigation phase took 6 weeks. Linda's team was thorough and relentless. Week 1. Document analysis. Every piece of paper Mom used traced back to documents she'd stolen from my home office during Thanksgiving 2022. I'd hosted dinner. She'd gone upstairs claiming to use the bathroom. She'd photographed my files. Security camera footage confirmed it. 17 minutes upstairs, phone out, photographing folder contents. Week 2. Financial forensics. Mom received $180,000 from the developer's deposit. She immediately paid off her mortgage, $127,000, and bought a new car, $31,000. The mortgage payoff happened November 2nd, 8 days after signing the fraudulent contract. Claire received $220,000. New Mercedes, $68,000. Cancun vacation, $12,000. Kitchen renovation, $47,000. Credit card payoffs, $93,000. Every transaction documented with bank records and receipts. Week 3. Co-conspirator interviews. David Reeves admitted under oath he'd had concerns about the documentation but proceeded because Mom was insistent, and he needed the commission, $12,000 for the transaction. His malpractice insurance carrier settled immediately for $75,000 rather than face a lawsuit. Week 4. Property valuation. 3 independent appraisers confirmed the lot with commercial zoning and permits was worth $2.1 to $2.4 million. One appraiser noted, with permits already secured, this represents 3 to 4 years of saved time for any developer. The $400,000 sale price is unconscionable, either gross incompetence or deliberate fraud. Mom's $400,000 sale represented an 80% loss in value, a classic fraud indicator. Week 5. Character witnesses. My partner testified about the 8 years of development work. My CPA showed tax records proving continuous investment in the property. My architect presented the 3-year permit timeline. The Coastal Commission's lead planner testified. Ms. Chen's proposal was one of the most thorough community-focused developments we've reviewed. She attended 14 public hearings and revised plans 6 times based on community input. Week 6. Expert analysis. A forensic accountant calculated damages. $2.1 million property value minus $400,000 fraudulent sale equals $1.7 million in direct theft. Plus $127,000 in permit costs I'd invested. Plus $80,000 in attorney fees. Plus $45,000 for delayed development timeline and lost pre-construction contracts. Total damages. $1,952,000. Week 7. Settlement negotiations. Mom's attorney tried negotiating. Mrs. Chin can't possibly pay $2 million. She's a retired teacher. This will bankrupt her. Linda's response was ice. Mrs. Chin committed fraud to steal property worth $2.1 million. Bankruptcy is a consequence of her choices. We'll settle for $1.8 million. The value stolen plus legal fees. No negotiation. She doesn't have $1.8 million. Then she'll lose her house, her car, and her retirement accounts. Her daughter Claire will lose her Mercedes and renovated kitchen. They spent the proceeds of a fraudulent transaction. They don't get to keep the benefits of their crime. Week 8. Final settlement. Mom's attorney came back with a counteroffer. $850,000 and a payment plan. Linda didn't even respond to me before rejecting it. Your client committed fraud. $1.8 million or we go to trial, and a jury will award even more once they hear she stole from her own daughter to fund a luxury lifestyle for the golden child. The case settled in January. Mom and Claire agreed to pay $1.8 million in damages. They had to sell Mom's house immediately, $485,000 after mortgage payoff. Claire had to surrender the Mercedes and take out personal loans to repay the vacation and renovation costs she could no longer afford. Mom's retirement accounts were liquidated, $143,000. Claire's wages were garnished for 12 years at $3,200 per month to cover the remaining balance. They paid their first installment on January 15th, $485,000 from Mom's house sale. I received the check and deposited it immediately. Then I called my architect. The project's back on track, I told him. Let's break ground in March. I blocked Mom, Claire, Dad, and Aunt Rachel on everything. No explanations. No conversations. No chances to plead poverty or family loyalty or forgiveness. They tried other channels. Dad called from his work phone, I blocked it. Aunt Rachel showed up at my office. Security escorted her out. Claire sent a 10-page letter about destroying the family over money. I returned it unopened. I responded to none of it. In March, we broke ground on the coastal highway development. 5 stories, mixed use, 42 residential units, restaurant and retail on the ground floor. Estimated completion, September 2026. Projected value, $8.4 million. The local newspaper ran a story. Long-awaited coastal development breaks ground after 8 years of planning. They interviewed me about the permit process, the environmental considerations, the economic impact. They asked if I'd faced obstacles. Family complications, I said. But those are resolved now. In April, the state bar suspended David Reeves's license for 2 years for gross negligence and failure to perform basic due diligence in a transaction involving fraud. He paid a $75,000 fine and had to complete ethics training. In May, Claire's Instagram went private. The Mercedes was gone. The vacation photos deleted. The renovated kitchen, now for sale as she downsized to a studio apartment to afford the garnishment payments. It's October now. Almost a year since I got that first email from Thompson & Associates. The development is 60% complete. The residential units are already 70% pre-sold. The restaurant space has a tenant lined up, a James Beard-nominated chef opening her first independent location. Claire's garnishment payments arrive like clockwork on the 15th of each month. $3,200. 11 years and 8 months remaining. Mom sold her car. She's renting a 1-bedroom apartment in a complex on the edge of town. Dad moved in with Aunt Rachel. They're still together, but the house they plan to retire in is gone, sold to pay for Mom's fraud. I don't feel guilty. There's a concept called the sunk cost fallacy, continuing to invest in something because you've already invested so much, even when it's clear the investment will never pay off. I gave my family 8 years of feeding their slot machine. 8 years of sunk cost. But sunk costs aren't investments, they're losses. And at some point you have to stop throwing good money after bad. Stop feeding coins into a machine that's designed to take. The lot at 1247 Coastal Highway will open in September 2026. 5 stories of residential and commercial space. Ocean views. Community gathering space. Jobs for 47 people. Housing for 94. Mom wanted to sell it for $400,000 to pay Claire's credit card bills. Instead, it's worth $8.4 million and serves a purpose Grandma would recognize. She wanted to destroy something. Instead, she proved its worth. The garnishment payments will keep arriving until December 2036. Every month, a reminder that theft has consequences. That fraud isn't forgiven just because you're family. That some slot machines stop taking coins and walk away.